when we do that. But I just told the guys, I said, all year we've been talking about focus on what's next, and what's next is Toronto, and yes, we are one game away, but winning a game in the NBA is awfully difficult, and so we're just going to prepare as well as we can and try to play that on Tuesday. And I've never been big on spending too much time worrying about things I can't control. But no, I don't ever look at it that way, because I always want more. and there's always things you can do better. And we're not in the playoffs yet. We're not at 500. Progress has been made, but it's not where any of us want to be.
Celtics absolutely humiliate and ruin the lives of everybody on the Cleveland Cavaliers. They win this one 117-78. This is the Garden Report, brought to you by Audible.com, Lynda.com, newly acquired by LinkedIn. Congrats to you guys. The official beer of the Garden Report, Peak Organic Brewing, and of course, Celtics Blog and CLNS Radio. Welcome to the show. It's our second to last of the regular season here, and it's starting to look like it could be the playoffs coming pretty soon, so we're thankfully not quite done yet. I'm Jared Weiss, joined by Tom Westerholm of Mass Live and Celtics Hub. We are going to break this one down. It's going to be a lot of fun, so we're going to make this really quick because I know you guys have a lot of Masters coverage to watch. So, first off, the Celtics, they win 117-78. So we're not really going to talk much about this game. We're going to talk more about the state of the current team, what we saw tonight that kind of shows the improvement in the state of the team, and then kind of looking ahead to the playoff matchups in part two. So first off tonight, they get what could be, a trap game if you're like the Sixers maybe, but the Celtics are a little bit better than that. So they go up against a team that's basically sitting all their players, and they make them pay so badly for it. And I was writing in my terrible game story that that's a good sign compared to what they were doing last year, where they were facing teams that were kind of throwing their mediocre lineups against them, and they were playing down to the competition. You see tonight, right ahead of the playoffs, as Brad Stevens is saying, they're just focused on getting to the playoffs. And tonight, they got a weak opponent. They completely humiliated them.
They did, and I think more importantly, you said last year they were playing down to people. They were playing down to people a couple of weeks ago. They took on Miami, and they lost to a team. Obviously, Miami had Goran Dragic, which is a big upgrade over anybody that Cleveland had on the court tonight. But it is really great to see them getting a big win, dominating a team almost from start to finish. They kind of let up there a little bit in the first quarter.
Like a 5 minutes stint where they didn't play well. Then otherwise, it was like the Globetrotters.
Yeah, Stevens even said after the game, nobody's ever played a 48-minute perfect game, and he's right. He's right. That team, but that was about as close as we're going to see, and they did. They dominated a team that they needed to dominate. It's going to be good for their confidence, and really, it's going to be good for their starters to know. At least we know we're better than Cleveland's second unit. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love weren't out there. We know we're better than their second unit.
And J.R. Smith.
And J.R. Smith. I can't believe I forgot.
Very little running and gunning tonight from Cleveland.
Disappointingly little amount of running and gunning.
And the thing is, the Celtics had, 7 guys in double figures. Jay Crowder had 9 points, and Smart only had 7 points. And I thought Smart was actually the most important player in tonight's game. So they could have had pretty close to having 9 guys in double figures tonight. That's a pretty impressive top-down performance. They finally, over the last month and a half or so, have finally gotten everybody top to bottom playing well. Now, the issue is you get to the playoffs and you don't do 12-man rotations. You do 8-man rotations. With this team, considering how their bench is composed, probably a 9-man rotation.
Absolutely. I think you're right that it's going to be a 9-man rotation, especially when you look at the balance that this team has had over the last little while. And really, it goes from points, it goes rebounds, it goes assists. Evan Turner he's kind of a nice microcosm of this team. He does a little bit of everything. He messes up a lot of things, but he does a lot of other things well. And really, he's had a great season for them, all things considered. I think that kind of goes from the top down, like you were saying. You look at Evan Turner, you look at Brandon Bass, you look at Avery Bradley, you look at Marcus Smart. These are guys who do a lot of things for the Celtics in every statistical category and just in things that don't show up in the stats. On the defensive end, Brandon Bass guards multiple positions, Marcus Smart does. Multiple guys off the bench. Jay Crowder obviously guards just about every position you could ask him to. And I think that's going to be really key as we go toward the playoffs, seeing it's going to be a 9-man rotation, and those 9 guys are going to have a lot of stuff to do.
You know, the funny thing is the Celtics resemble the Warriors in their principles and the way that they run their team in so many ways. Talent-wise, would be a little bit of a gap, I would say. But you look at how, like, Jay Crowder's role on this team, Brandon Bass's role on this team, Jerebko. They have so many guys that can defend 3, in Crowder's case, 4 positions. That's what's so important for them, because they're not that good of a defensive team, but they outwork their opponent a lot of the time defensively, and they're versatile enough that they can switch on pick and rolls. A couple of years ago, we were talking about hedging on pick and rolls. I think when we started doing the show, we used to do shows literally just about breaking down hedging pick and roll. Now this team is switching as much as possible on pick and rolls, and that's something that a lot of the versatile defenses in the league are doing. It works really well for them here. You're going up against Cleveland in the playoffs, or Atlanta, not really going to work as well.
I don't remember who it was, but somebody tweeted about how if they do face Cleveland in the first round, we might see, there's a very good chance we'll see LeBron James or Kyrie Irving switching with and having Kelly Olynyk on him. And that's kind of the nightmare scenario.
It'd be so much fun to watch. Come on. That would be really funny.
There would be some highlights in that. But, you know, they do play that switching defense, and it's been key for them all season. It's been great. They're not going to deviate from it now, and they shouldn't. It's been great for them, even if they do end up with Cleveland. Atlanta would be a better matchup, assuming they do make the playoffs. Atlanta would be the better matchup, I think, but I think we're going to get to that later.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. So just kind of looking at this team right now, do you think that their offense is where it needs to be for them to really get into the playoffs?
I think it's as close to where it needs to be as it's going to get. I think Isaiah Thomas, he's back. He's clearly back. He's attacking. He's going to the rim fearlessly, which is one of the things that we were concerned about going forward after he landed on his back end so hard. It really was. And, you know, he's the catalyst. What he does is just going to push this team forward. And at this point, I think he is back, and that's a good sign.
All right, well, we'll be back for part 2 in just a moment. We'll continue that conversation about the Cavs and the Hawks. This is the Garden Report on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog.
A little bit. He just so laid back. Like, you try to feed off him as much as possible, but he's so even keel that you can't really read his mind. So he's just always about staying in the moment, no matter what it is, good or bad. Stay in the moment. Don't think about the future or the past. Have a short memory. So that's one thing Coach is very, very positive with.